Okay, next step is to get your dial onto the movement. We've already got the dial feet on, or the dial screws installed. The movement's not running, our balance wheel isn't spinning, so we're set to put on the dial. The dial will be wrapped in some watch paper to protect it. When you're working with your dial, I recommend you, for the most part, touching it from the sides. If you can avoid touching the front of the dial, even if you're wearing gloves, you could accidentally touch something and get a smudge on it. So try to work with the dial by holding it on the sides. It's going to be the safest bet for you. On the rear of your dial are the dial feet, and the screws that we installed later on the movement kind of pinch the dial feet from the sides, and that pinching action holds the dial down to the movement. But the first thing we got to do is put on the ring that prevents the date wheel from rubbing against the back of the dial. So I'm going to go into my little baggie that was included into the Series 1 kit and grab this little metal ring. Which is difficult to do when you have these gloves on. Second. All right. Here's the ring. You'll notice on the date wheel ring there are notches. There's 2 notches. That's where the dial feet go on the back of the dial. That's how you put the ring on. And then there is a tiny little hole next to one of these cutouts. That matches up to a very particular spot on the movement. I'll show you that spot. And it's only next to one of the screw locations and not the other. So this is a very important part of the install. So let me get it so the camera is nice and focused. There's our screw. Right there. To the other side of the screw is where the actual dial feet inserts into. And then you have this little bump out here. There we go. See that little bump out? That's not on the other side of the movement. That bump out's only in one spot on the 8215, and it's right there. So the trick is you're lining up this ring in the proper position, so not only is it sitting on there, that little bump out is falling right into that hole. On your dial, I'll bring it in closer, you'll notice a little notch. That little notch is demarcating the 3 o'clock position. And for this watch, for the Series 1 watch, that is where your crown stem is going to protrude from. Like so. So keep that in mind. 12 o'clock position's up here. So we're going to turn it around. The dial's facing the opposite direction, and here's our notch in the dial. We're going to attach the date wheel ring here and see how it fits in those notches. Here's 3 o'clock. Right there. North of the 3 o'clock is where you want that little hole in the date wheel to be at. If you flipped the date wheel ring around, you'd be putting it the wrong position, and because of that bump out on the movement, you wouldn't be able to put the movement on. So this is really a good shot there. You see the bump? I'm going to put the crown and crown stem towards the 3 o'clock position, and I'm going to line up those notches. It's hard to do this while at the same time showing it to you. There we go. I got it on. When I do that, it's flush. The date wheel ring is perfectly flush to the dial. The movement's flush to the date wheel ring. If you had not gotten that little bump out position correct, there would be space. And around all this, the entire movement, there's no space. It's flush against that date wheel ring. So now you can go about to the business of screwing those screws down to secure the movement to the dial. But I want to show you, see where the dial's going in there? It's to the dial feet go right in to the other side of the screw, and you can see it in there. Bringing it as close as I can. There's the screw. There's where the dial feet go. Same on the other side. Screw goes there, or screws here, dial feet goes kind of in the area that's inset into the movement. It's towards the center of the movement. And the dial feet's there again where it's inset to the movement. And the crown and crown stem are coming out on the 3 o'clock position of the dial. So you're going to want to go ahead and grab your green tip screwdriver, which is the smallest, and simply, I meant black tip, sorry about that. That's the biggest screwdriver. So you're going to take the black tip one, which is your smallest screwdriver in the Esslinger toolkit, and you're going to secure the screws. Doesn't have to be super tight, but definitely you want it, keep turning it until it doesn't turn in anymore and you feel that it's secure. That side's good. I'm going to go ahead and do the other side. Be mindful when you're doing this side that your screwdriver doesn't go off and get into the balance. But if you take it slow, you should be fine. I'm doing this without optics on, by the way, because I forgot to put them on, but still able to see, sort of. All right, we're all set. So now we can get to the business of putting our hands on.